Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Gal Swisa Cohen. 3 years ago, my family and I moved to Long Island with a clear mission to serve as the living bridge between the people of Israel and the incredible community here. Out of this journey, I created the Israeli Bond, a podcast designed to tell the story of Israel and its people beyond the headlines. We are here for the authentic, the personal, and the direct stories that bring us all together. This podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, New York, and it is thanks to their vision and support that this content is brought to you today. And joining me today is Ofek Ron, an animal advocate turned food tech entrepreneur who is the co-founder and CEO of Oshi, a pioneering startup redefining the seafood industry with its plant-based whole-cut fillets. Hi, Ofek. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining our show, The Israeli Bond. And let's start just from the beginning. Tell us, what is Oshi? What is this company?
So Oshi is the first company in the world to create plant-based fish fillet that looks, feels, and tastes just like the real deal.
This sounds very interesting. What I wonder is why fish? I know so many other plant-based products, meat and chicken, but fish is the first time that I hear. Why specifically fish?
Yeah, and actually that's the point, right? Because when we started the company, we saw great companies doing chicken alternatives, beef alternatives, even pork alternatives, and milk alternative, of course. And we thought, why not fish? Fish is the most hunted animal in the planet. There is overfishing in 70% or more of the ocean. And there is microplastics, mercury, pollution. Everything goes into our bodies once we eat fish. So I thought to myself, why companies are not doing anything for fish? Why they're just making alternatives for the other animals there? And the main reason is that the way we eat fish, 80% of us are eating it in the natural form. Okay, if we don't eat the canned tuna, the only way we're eating fish is mainly, let's say not the only, the mainly the way is as a full cut fillet, right? And to be able to mimic that, we needed to invent a new technology. And the food companies are usually not that innovative as we think. And for them to create a burger or to create something that is mimicking chicken nuggets is a lot easier. That technology actually exists for 40 years already. But in order to mimic something that behaves like a fish fillet, for that we needed Oshi. And that's why I started a company. I really wanted to do something that is taking the meat alternatives to the next level. And for us as humanity, being able to mimic the experience of the natural bite, right? Not the processed burgers, but the natural one. And I thought that if we will be able to do that, we might build a new category of plant-based fish. And that's what we're doing today.
Take me to the start because I know from your resume, you're not a scientist. You're not a food engineer in any way. So what brought you to open a company of food tech?
About 15 years ago, I watched a video about what's happening to animals in the food industry and decided I'm going vegan. I never thought it's going to be my day job. I never thought it's going to be something more than a decision that I'm just not eating animals and that's it. But through the time, I found out that I have a lot of passion of helping people to eat more plants from that reason. And through the years, I learned that it's not only better for the animals, but it's also better for the planet, that it's also better for us. And it gives me motivation to be active in the space. So in the beginning, I was volunteering in a nonprofit, which I been a founding board member in that organization called Vegan Friendly. And later on, after me developing myself in the business world, I was back then managing a software company. I decided that I really want to work my passion. And my passion was being in the nonprofit as a volunteer, and I wanted to make it a day job. So I moved from a very comfortable chair to the nonprofit and started to be a vegan activist. And being there as a vegan activist, I was super happy. I was finally feeling that I'm doing something that I'm passionate about with all my heart. And through the time at the nonprofit, I found companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible changing the way people are eating meat. Okay. So let's say 7, 8 years ago, eating a plant-based burger in a restaurant was so weird. And today, almost every restaurant you go, every burger place you go, you find there actually plant-based meats. And it's became mainstream, even though vegans are still a niche, but the option is a mainstream thing, right? So I really wanted to do the same with fish, but as you said, I'm not a food technologist. I'm not a scientist myself. I studied economics in the university, but I really wanted to make it happen. So I found three scientists. Just went physically to visit faculties in Israel with top smart engineers, and I just found their super smart three engineers. Each one of them was in a different faculty. All of them were scientists with a PhD, and together with them we started Oshi. I brought the idea, the vision, and they brought the how. They were actually sitting and creating this new technology from scratch that today is what we see on shelves in the US.
So it almost sounds easy when you describe it. And I want to like go a little bit like to the beginning, to a more, I would say, a more initial stage of your life. So to be honest, I got to hear about you or know your name through my husband. You served in the same unit, so you have a lot of mutual friends. And this is not, as I said, it's not like a science unit. It's not like an intelligence unit, right? It's a combat unit. And I wonder that if you think that maybe this military service in combat, that really you need to develop some sense of competence or resilience that gave you the tools that made you like go and turn to this three super smart people and tell them, hey, I have an idea, come join me. This is kind of a brave move. So I wonder if you think it has some connection to it.
I will start from the beginning of what you say. Simple is not. I am in a survival mode till today. Okay, we're 5.5 years later. We're still fighting the fight. We're still not impossible or beyond. We're still a quite small company, but we have growth every month, and we're still seeing the opportunity. And even though it takes us a lot more time than it took to Beyond Meat or Impossible when they invented meat, we're still fighting the fight and seeing the potential and optimistic of the future, but it's nothing simple, okay? And it's not and it started hard and it's continuing hard, because making the science was super hard for the scientists, and now making the business, which is more on my side, I don't think that easier. Okay, so it is hard, and we can dive into that later. But to your question, of course, I think in general what we learn in the military service in Israel give us a lot of capabilities that are very relevant to the startup world. And the main thing you learn is dealing with stress. When I speak with other founders which haven't been through that journey, they're seeing things in a very stressful way, which it is, but they have less tools to fight with that stress and to manage it. And I think that's what I took a lot from the army, the ability to deal with stress. And I definitely think that it put everything in perspective when you're doing something which in the end is a business, even if my business is an impact and it's a lot more important to me maybe than doing, I don't know, just a shop of something. But I definitely think that dealing with stress is something that each one of us that was there is better in that. And I'm not sure that it's specifically the combat unit, because sometimes it's as stressing to be in the intelligence and to know that every message that you deliver might be affecting someone else's life. So even if you're not facing death, let's say, I think in every critical position you do in the military service, it teaches you a lot about handle stress. And I think that's the opportunity of us Israeli founders, that we can do better than others sometimes.
Yes. So you say like this is the Israeli spice, is maybe like dealing with stress that you have during the military service, also ambiguity that is also a big part of the military service. I would argue that in combat it is a little bit more, but I'm sure that in all the different units. But you know that, but going this direction to the IDF really leads me to another topic that I wanted to ask you about, which is October 7th. This is like a really big topic that that influenced my life since I came here. It influenced every Israeli and every Jewish around the world. And it influenced my life the past 3 years since we came here. And it influenced a lot Israeli tech ecosystem and business in general. We know that these days we have a lot of world criticism against Israel, mainly in the American academia, but not only. And I wonder if the events of October 7th and the war afterwards has affected your business also.
Wow, yes. So and basically when October 7 arrived, it was a critical moment. We're about to launch the product in the US, and in October, I think 14th or something like that. October 7th arrived, and I was recruited the same day, and I wasn't home, besides, here and there when I went out, but I was 2 months straight in the military from the day of the October 7th till 2 months after. It was when I was released for a while, and then I came back, but 2 months straight when we just launched. And on the same time that we were launching, it was a bit before the end of the runway, because we had a round that the milestone was a successful launch. So we waited, even though the runway was the runway means in startups that we were almost out of money, but we wanted to wait to a successful launch and then to fundraise again for the company. So everything was around that time. And October 7 happened, and I was there, and I was still available in my phone a few hours a day. And during that time, I was working, and I was trying to do things from far away. And they asked me, the team, like, what should we do? I say, we're launching. It's in the US. It's happening. We cannot stop what we're building because of what happened. And everyone in the company took positions, which someone took the CEO position. Someone took, I have few positions. So someone took my fundraising position. Someone took my launch position. Someone took the operation position. And and some people in the production had also to go to service. So some scientists became production employees. So we had a big mess there. And in the end, we had a lunch, which was successful enough to fundraise. And also the fundraise was happening. I was going on calls from the field. And some of the times during the calls, I had to go, like suddenly there was a shooting on us, stuff like that. I had to go. And most of the people were like, thought I'm insane and didn't come back after the first call. But one fund, a Spanish Israeli fund, they were inspired by me taking the calls from the field, and they decided to invest, even though they couldn't meet me in person, even though I was only getting on Zooms and they were always stuck on the middle. They loved the fact that I'm still fighting on the company while I'm fighting for the country. So, and they actually invested in the company and saved the company, we can say. So we fundraised during that time while I was not there. and my team was stepping up and doing a lot more. And actually, what I found is that during that time, most of the people who are not recruited didn't have a lot of things to do. You don't have restaurants that you go. Everything was quite close. So I said it's even like for the business was a time that everyone were working 200% in the company because that's what you do instead of being afraid and in the shelter. At least you're doing something productive, and I felt that it's even giving them some good things to do, positive things, even though it's work and it's hard and it's not always the fun thing. So that's what happened, and since then, a lot of things have changed. Many customers in the US thought they don't want to work with us because in the beginning it was okay in terms of like the perception, but as the war continued, uh, the narrative of Israel flipped. It was a few months after October 7, then most of the people are against the narrative of Israel is the good guy and Hamas is the bad guy. So when the narrative have changed, we felt it too. Like I went I tried to sell the product to a few restaurants in a specific area in the US, and they were just not interested to meet up because we're from Israel. And many things of that type of things came along also because unfortunately many vegans are very much anti-Israel. It's somehow combined one with another. So yes, we're still facing it since then, but I have to tell you that because October 7 it was divided, and because thankfully that Jewish community is in a very strong position in the US, you also find Jewish that really loves Israel and really supports Israel, that when you go to some places like, oh, you're from Israel, and you see the last name, you figure out they're Jewish, and then because you're from Israel, they actually accelerating things with you. They're like, oh, we have to have you, we have to support. So it went both ways, and if people ask me if it's bad or good after October 7th in terms of the narrative and everything, I think it's a go equally both ways. Some people, because of it, they know that there is a lot of anti-Semitism in the US, so they feel more supportive of you as an Israeli company, and some the opposite. So for me, whatever. Like at least the ones that I can win, I'm winning better, and the one I couldn't win, so I'm not winning. It's okay. I don't think it's a big now it affects big on our company, but it is what it is.
So I must say that your story is incredible, incredible. First of all, to launch as a CEO, to launch your product remotely while you're in a war, like literally in a war, like fighting and doing everything remotely and still keeping the optimism and still keeping the optimism within the team and seeing the half full side of the glass, how people can actually gain more spirit and more like to be more energized of working on this launch. So this is, first of all, incredible vision. And just for that, I'm sure that if I were an investor, I would invest in you because this is an incredible spirit of a CEO, of a founder of a company. And second, because how you see the situation, it's not entirely bad, not entirely good. Like it is what it is. And within this environment, we go all the way, keep fighting for it. And yes, I will tell you, this is a very like Israeli, I would say Israeli mindset of, I'm going to achieve it. I don't know what's the situation. I don't know what's the environment. I'm going to do it. And I love this mindset. And which this leads me actually to my next topic that I wanted to ask you. But first of all, I want to say, now you have products, right? So all this like big mess, but now you have products in the US and actually people can buy them in store, right? Like that's the situation right now.
Yeah, and you just remind me who is the real hero, because once I was in the military, if I wasn't at home. I have wife and two kids and two daughters, and during that time I was getting out of reserves to go to the launch to the US. So I was reserve US, reserves US, almost not at home for a few months, and my wife Adva kept the house active and happy during the time, and I think that's that's even harder. Now about we're now at more than 100 restaurants across the US, but we launched a few months ago, and we also have a direct-to-consumer shop, which is quite popular. So you can go to our website, oshi.com, and just order, and people are doing it from all around the country. And a few months ago, in March, we launched a retail product, which is actually the same product in a retail packaging. And we also launched a new product. We did the first product was a plant-based salmon, and the second product is a plant-based white fish, and those are now available in about, I want to say, 100 stores of retail, and going even bigger. We're now in the compliance stage of a national supermarket that's gonna take us to an additional 500 locations. So we're in a very strong momentum now of getting into retail, and thankfully seeing very good results from the retail location we're currently at.
By the way, you're only in the US, right? You're not launching in Israel. You haven't launched in Israel.
We're only in the US. We just got 2 weeks ago, let's say, an approval from Israel Ministry of Health that our product is now approved in Israel, the first one, the salmon. So we're now figuring out how to do it in Israel, because we manufacture in California, and we need to ship it to Israel and have some kosher certifications, import certifications. So it's about a few months that we can be also available in Israel.
Oh, amazing news, because we're just going back to Israel. So I'm so glad that I will be able to find you there as well.
You're going back to Israel. Happy to hear that. I would be surprised if Dagan, your husband, will not go back to Israel. Such a big Zionist.
Yeah. No. That was a no-brainer. It was no-brainer. Um, okay, so Ofek, first of all, and I just wanna mention, like, the fact that you started launching here was because of regulatory issues, right? You could start launching here, and only now, after you got the stamp from Israel, only now you can start in Israel, right?
And of course, if you ask October 7th, so one of the problems during the October 7th was to go through that process in Israel. Okay, everyone were not interested in any new product now. It was a survival mode for a few months, and then we say, okay, we don't have time now for that. We need to go where we can actually sell. The only country in the world that approved our product was the US. Not because, first of all, it's easier to approve products in the US, and second of all, specific the ingredients that required us to go through an approval were already pre-approved in the US. So that's why we went there, and now, after we will receive the Israeli after we receive the Israel certification, it will be also easier to go to other countries as well.
Wow, this is so exciting. I'm so excited to hear it. And we're about to close this episode. But before we do, I want to talk with you about the latest move, which actually was the move that led me to speak with you on LinkedIn. And it caught a lot of attention recently. So you recently launched a crowdfunding campaign, which basically means that allowing everyday people, everybody basically, to invest and actually own shares in your company, right? So I have to tell you that I don't usually see startups at your stage, meaning that well-funded, already like fund some money with product and everything, manufacturing and selling it, as you said, like retail-wise. Not usually I see them go to the crowdfunding route at this stage. And I wonder where this idea came from and why you chose this strategy and what is the ultimate goal for you?
Great. So first of all, thank you because I'm very happy to share about it. I think most of us are not hearing about consumer startups too much because Israel is the best in the B2B space, right? Many technology startups and not too many startups that the end consumer is using as a person, not through a software at his work and stuff like that. So I think in the food industry there is maybe one example of like a company that made something that was directed to consumers, which was a SodaStream that we all know. But we don't have a lot of stories like that. And those companies, they have something that others don't have, which is customers that are excited about the product, that are having it every day in their houses, in the restaurants. So we have a crowd of people that are mission aligned to what we do and believe in the product. They're eating the product. They're talking with us every day, sharing with us feedback. And I think that for us, engaging with those people and having them be partners of us and not a strategic and not necessarily a financial investor that will put a lot of money and then you don't hear from them. I think that the people, if you get them to feel that they're a part of what you do, you can grow faster as a company. Because if now I'm going to the supermarket and I can buy a product which is just a product or a product which I'm a partner at this company and I want the company to succeed, I'll not only buy it, I'm also going to recommend it to my friends. I'm also going to use it more. I want to share more feedback with the company because I have some, I have a piece of it. I'm a part, and I wanted more people to feel that they're a part of what we're doing. And we're lucky to do the crowdfunding after we had already a lead investor that was putting most of the money, and the lead investor have agreed for us to open additional $1 million and to invite the crowd because they think it's strategically smart for us as a consumer facing company to have a crowd investing in us. So that's the idea behind it.
Wow. I must say that I love this strategy. It reminds me a little bit like when employees buy shares in the companies they work for, and then it made them like better employees, wants to be more, they're more invested financially and, with all their energies within the company. And I love this strategy specifically because, your company has, it's not just like a consumer company, it's a consumer of doing good. Like it's a doing good company. So with being part of this company, you're also have your own fair share of doing good in the world. And I absolutely love the strategy. So we spoke a little bit about it, but what is your next step? What would you say, because we're now going to close this conversation, what would you say is like your next check mark you're gonna do it, like the next thing you're gonna achieve, and I know you're achiever, you're gonna achieve it?
When I started a company 5.5 years ago, I was imagining the product in Whole Foods. That was my biggest dream starting the company, because as a person who was not living in the US a year ago, for me getting into Whole Foods, we don't have it in Israel. It's like Disneyland for vegans for me. You have so many cool brands and only the best ones getting there, because that's like the standard for brands. And after you get into Whole Foods, like if something is in Whole Foods, already the brand of the thing is a good brand, right? So that was my first target starting the company. I really wanted to achieve that one, and that's my target for this year. So let's see.
Wow, I love it. I love it. And I wish, and I know you will achieve it. I I want to share in this episode notes a link to your crowdfunding in case that some of our listeners, our viewers would want to also participate in that. I think it's a great initiative, and I would love to be part of the journey of spreading the word. And thank you so much, Ofek, for your time today.
Thank you for choosing to spend an episode about my journey and Oshi. I think it's really important to have people like you that spotlighting things like that. So I really appreciate your time and your efforts to make it happen.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for this inspiring story. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Israeli Bond on hmTv. I appreciate my guest, Ofek Ron, for sharing insights from his journey to fund Oshi, his company. And if you enjoy exploring the information, history, and stories of today's conversation, be sure to check out our other podcasts here on hmTv. Please subscribe, share, and stay connected for more engaging conversations. Until next time, take care and be well.